The day my father passed away from a serious illness, Brian disappeared. I handled all the arrangements alone, utterly exhausted. 3 days later, I saw a post on his junior's social media. Whose stubborn senior is this? He said it was a company retreat, but it was really for my birthday. In the photo, they were gazing at each other, their smiles radiant. I suddenly felt that this marriage was utterly pointless. I casually commented, "Yours." Later, when we stood at the Civil Affairs Bureau, he cried like a child. When the doctor told me my father was in the emergency room, I felt my world collapse. I was in a panic, my mind a blank. I instinctively dialed Brian's number. "Honey, the doctor said my dad is in critical condition. I'm so scared." My voice trembled, already thick with tears, but the other end was silent for a moment. Then a woman's voice came through. "Is this Anna? Brian's gone to get our boarding passes. Hold on, I'll go find him." I don't know what she told him, but I couldn't just wait. I quickly took a leave of absence from work and took a taxi to the hospital. After a long time, I finally heard his voice, his tone impatient. "Anna, can't you be a little more independent? Don't rely on me for everything. What's the use of calling me if your dad is sick? I'm not a doctor." I couldn't believe those words had come from his mouth. "I'm about to board a plane. Don't bother me with unimportant things." The line went dead. He had hung up. I was stunned, a tight, aching pain in my chest, making it hard to breathe. I ran to the emergency room and saw the doctor's look of pity. "I'm so sorry. We did everything we could. Please accept our condolences." My mind went blank. I couldn't hear a thing. I slid down the cold hospital wall, and when they wheeled my father's body out, I broke down and sobbed. In those 3 days, I felt like I had cried all the tears I would ever cry. I had tried to message him, but all my messages had gone unanswered. He had simply vanished. I had no other family, so I had to handle all the arrangements myself. 3 days later, after I had laid my father's ashes to rest, I returned to an empty home, and then, I saw the post on his junior's social media. "Whose stubborn senior is this?" He said it was a company retreat, but it was really for my birthday. In the photo, they were gazing at each other, their smiles radiant. So, while I was enduring the pain of losing a loved one, my husband was having the time of his life. I suddenly felt that this marriage was utterly pointless. A strange calm washed over me. I laughed, a hollow sound, and commented, "Yours. It's true what they say. The greatest sorrow is a dead heart." After posting that, I felt a sense of relief. The exhaustion of the past few days finally caught up to me, and I fell into a deep sleep. The next afternoon, I was woken by a knock on the door. I groggily opened it, and it was immediately pushed open with force. I was instantly awake. I saw him rush in, and behind him was that so-called junior, Morgan. "Anna, I'm so sorry. I got hurt when we landed. Brian said we were close by, so we just came to patch it up." She held up her hand, a noticeable scrape on her arm. No wonder he was in such a hurry, more so than when he had heard about my father. If they had waited any longer, the wound would have already scabbed over. Seeing him rummaging through the living room, I said with a hint of annoyance, pointing to the coffee table, "The first aid kit is under there. If it weren't for the wedding photo on the wall, I'd think this wasn't your house." He looked at me in surprise, as if he hadn't expected me to be so unconcerned, even helpful. In the past, I would have thrown a fit, cried, and we would have ended up fighting. He took out the iodine and carefully cleaned her wound. The two of them, so close and intimate, were a jarring sight. "What are you doing standing at the door? Come and sit on the sofa. We don't want people to think this is how we treat our guests." I said this casually. His hands paused. "Anna, you don't have to be so sarcastic. Morgan is just my junior. She's all alone here. I'm just looking out for her." Sarcastic. I frowned. I was being perfectly sincere, but I had no energy to argue with him. He could think what he wanted. "Yes, I know." My expression was neutral, my emotions flat. Perhaps after experiencing the despair of losing a loved one, all of this seemed trivial. "Brian, thank you so much for today, but I have so much luggage. I can't get home by myself. Can you take me? I wonder if Anna would mind." She leaned against him, looking pitiful and charming. Before he could answer, I waved my hand. "Go ahead, I don't mind. Just be back soon. I have something to talk to you about." For some reason, I saw a flash of anger in his eyes. He squeezed her wrist, making her cry out in pain. Then he slammed the door on his way out. It was all a bit strange. I took out the divorce agreement I had prepared and placed it on the table. With nothing else to do, I made a farewell dinner, looking at the table full of red, spicy dishes. I remembered eating with my father, sweating and laughing. My eyes welled up again. I waited until late at night, but he still hadn't come home. The bitter sadness in my heart gradually turned to numbness. I was completely disappointed in him. I reheated the dishes and ate them all myself. Only then did I feel a little better. I didn't bother to clean up the mess. I just took a shower and went to bed. I had to go to work the next day. When I came out of the bathroom in my slip, he was sitting on the sofa in the living room, his face a dark and stormy mask, like a plague doctor. I was startled and looked at him as if he were a madman. "Why are you back at this hour?" His thin lips were pressed into a line, a cold aura emanating from him. "This is my house. Is there a problem with me coming back?" I pouted, wondering what was wrong with him now. As I was about to go to bed, his voice came from behind. "Why didn't you wait for me for dinner? And you know I have a sensitive stomach. Why did you make a table full of spicy food?" He was actually complaining to me, but it was true. In the past, I would have waited for him, no matter how late. I was always mindful of his stomach problems, cooking bland food, suppressing my own love for spice, but now I realized how wrong I had been. I remembered last time, he had also not come home because of her. I had waited for a long time and had complained. "She's just your junior. You've already given her a job at your company. That's a huge favor. Brian, have you forgotten you have a family? You're out all night, walking another woman's dog. Do you ever think about me waiting for you at home?" At that time, he had flipped the table, and all my hard work had been ruined. "I've told you so many times, there's nothing between us. If you don't believe me, I can't help it. If you can't live like this, then let's get a divorce. Don't be a shrew and embarrass yourself." At this thought, my numb heart still ached. I suddenly smirked, forcing back the tightness in my chest. I went and got the divorce agreement from the table. "I made dinner at 6. It's 3 in the morning now. Am I supposed to starve? And you never knew that I love spicy food. If she's so considerate, you should just go to her." At my words, he sighed in relief, probably thinking I was just being jealous again. His tone softened. "Anna, Morgan is really just my junior. Can't you be a little less petty?" "Enough. I'm tired of hearing that. You don't have to say it again. I'm the petty one. I believe you. Is that enough?" Besides blaming me, all he ever said was that one sentence. I was so tired of it. I handed him the divorce agreement. "Take a look. We've been married for 4 or 5 years. I don't want to make this ugly." I looked around. There was nothing here I was attached to. "This house was bought when you were just starting your business. My dad paid the down payment. You can just give me my share. And I don't want anything else." I calmly discussed the division of assets. He looked at me in disbelief. "Anna, what is this new game? You want a divorce? I've told you so many times. There's nothing between us. Why don't you believe me?" He rushed forward and grabbed my shoulders, shaking me. I was getting dizzy. I had never found him so annoying. My expression turned cold. "I believe you. Fine. I'm the one who's had a change of heart. I'm the one who's cheating and doesn't want to be with you anymore. Is that okay?" I didn't understand. Wasn't this what he had been waiting for? Now that I was offering him a divorce, giving him his freedom, so he could be with his Morgan or whoever, what was the problem? He stumbled backward, his eyes full of a hurt expression, as if it were all my fault. I don't know what he was thinking, but he suddenly looked at me with dawning realization. "Anna, is it because of Dad? Are you still angry with me?" At the mention of my father, the anger I had been suppressing flared up. I clenched my fists, not wanting to get into a fight with him. My only goal now was to get a divorce as soon as possible. But he, seeing my silence, took it as a confirmation. He smiled placatingly. "Anna, it was a company retreat. I was really busy. I just said those harsh words in a moment of haste. I know I was wrong. I apologize." "Okay, how is Dad?" "I'll bring some gifts tomorrow and go with you to see him, to apologize in person." I couldn't take it anymore. I slapped him across the face, my whole body trembling, remembering the despair of that day, when I had relied on him, only to be met with such cold indifference. And now he had the nerve to mention my father. A crisp slap echoed in the room. He looked at me in shock. "Anna, what are you doing?" I shook my head, a bitter smile on my lips. "Brian, I don't have a father anymore." Tears streamed down my face. My father's death was like a bolt from the blue. I had borne it all alone, no one to lean on, all the pain and tears swallowed down. And he, my husband, had only just remembered to ask about my father on the 5th day. Those 3 days when he had disappeared. Oh no, the 3 days when he was celebrating her birthday, were the darkest days of my life. "Anna, what are you talking about? When did this happen? Why didn't anyone tell me?" The man before me suddenly became a stranger, as if I had never known him. That day, I had called him desperately, over and over, with all my strength, and had gotten no response. and now he was asking me why I hadn't told him. I laughed. A sad, pathetic sound. Brian, take me off your block list. It's over. It's all over. No one will bother you anymore. I watched him frantically take out his phone. After a few taps, a stream of notifications flooded in. I wiped the tears from my face, my heart sinking. Among those countless messages was my pain. Every unanswered message was a mockery of my foolishness. He read for a long time, then looked up at me, his eyes full of guilt. He wanted to come closer, to hold me, to imagine that I would still see him as the center of my universe. But I pushed him away, my body trembling like a frightened cat. Don't touch me. I tried to compose myself, not wanting to show my vulnerability anymore. After a long time, I let out a long breath. It's over. It's all over. I kept repeating it, as if to him, and also to myself. Anna, I really didn't know. When Morgan told me, I thought it was just a regular headache. I really didn't know it was so serious. He was still trying to explain, but his words were empty. Anna, let's take some time apart. Okay, don't be so quick to talk about divorce. Think about how hard it was for us to get together. He was trying to use our past to persuade me, but the past was not only filled with good memories but also with his cold indifference. I looked at him, my gaze unwavering. No, he stumbled backward, fleeing like a coward. The next morning, I got ready and went back to work. My colleagues, hearing about what had happened, all offered their condolences. I remembered a few days ago, my boss had wanted to send me to a branch office. I had been hesitant, thinking of my father in the hospital and not wanting to leave Brian. Now, I had no ties to this city. I had no sense of belonging. It didn't matter where I went. My boss was happy with my decision and immediately had me start the handover process. I was so busy all day that it wasn't until a colleague told me that someone had been waiting for me downstairs for over 3 hours that I finally took a break. When I went down, I saw that it was him. He was in a suit, holding a bouquet of gardenias, exuding a cool, elegant air. This was the look I had once been so infatuated with, but now it just seemed bland. It's true what they say, when you're not in love, the white moonlight becomes just a bowl of rice, and the cinnabar mole becomes just a mosquito bite. Seeing me, his face lit up. He rushed over with the flowers. Anna, I'm here to pick you up from work, and I brought you your favorite gardenias. There's a new Sichuan restaurant on Yongshi Road. Let's go. He was so eager to please. I was hungry, so there was no need to be difficult. I nodded, took the flowers, and sniffed them. The fragrance was indeed intoxicating. He smiled and followed me, opening the car door for me, his attention completely on me. I was a little taken aback, then quickly came to my senses. So, he knew how to do these things all along. Anna, I've been texting you all afternoon. Why haven't you replied? I give him an inch, and he takes a mile. His voice was getting more and more aggrieved. I was still looking at the gardenias, thinking about the last time he had given me flowers. It had been a year ago. It was my birthday. I had specifically told him to bring me gardenias. I had waited for him with a full heart, but he had just had a bouquet delivered from a flower shop. I had called him, but he hadn't answered. I remember it was raining heavily that day. It was hard to get a taxi. I had walked for a long time in the rain, the gardenias in my arms wilting. When I had arrived at his office, disheveled, I had found a party in full swing. It was a welcome party for the new employees. At that time, she and him were tied together, playing a three-legged race, their bodies pressed close. Seeing me, soaked to the bone, she had let out a theatrical gasp. Oh, who is this crazy woman? The others who had recognized me had all exchanged glances and taken a step back, wanting to distance themselves from the drama. Only she, with him in tow, had come over, all innocence and charm. He had looked a little unnatural, his gaze on me tinged with disgust, with no hint of concern. I had choked back a sob, and seeing them so close, my heart had ached with a bitter jealousy. I couldn't help but ask, Brian, you're not picking me up from work so you can play games with another woman. Anna, it's a company welcome party. I just forgot to tell you. Don't make a scene. She had belatedly covered her mouth, as if she had just realized she had said the wrong thing and wanted to apologize. But since they were tied together, she had been pulled back and had stumbled into his arms. I was furious and had started to go and pull them apart. She had acted as if she were terrified, crying and clinging to him. So you're Anna. It's all my fault. I've seen you before. How could I have forgotten you? Please forgive me. Her green tea bitch act was a desperate attempt to cover up my embarrassment. Seeing I was still about to lose my temper, he had scolded me. Morgan is my junior. She's new to the company, so she's my partner. She's young and doesn't know any better. Why are you making a big deal out of it? I sent you the gardenias you wanted. Can't you just stop being so unreasonable? Tears had blurred my vision. We had had a huge fight, and from the rain, I had caught a bad fever and was sick for a long time. Later, he had remembered it was my birthday and had brought me many gifts to make up for it, admitting he was wrong, and that was the day he had me add her on WeChat, saying that she was now his assistant and that if I couldn't reach him, I could just contact her. Looking back now, I was the most ridiculous one, to have forgiven him just like that. Anna, why aren't you talking? His voice pulled me from my thoughts. I threw the gardenias into the back seat and glanced at him. I was too busy with work. No time. His face fell, and his eyes grew even more aggrieved. Anna, you weren't like this before. Don't be so unreasonable. Brian, I have a job too. I have my own life. I can't revolve around you all the time. I never realized you were so clingy. The harsh words had slipped out. I never thought I would be so good at this. Perhaps I had just heard it too many times. He was speechless. He just focused on driving, and we didn't speak for the rest of the way. As soon as we reached the Sichuan restaurant, the pungent, spicy smell hit me. He couldn't help but cough. I ignored him and went in. I ordered a few of my old favorites and ate with gusto, and he, as if to punish himself, forced himself to eat the food he would normally never touch. His forehead was drenched in sweat, and his face was as red as a boiled shrimp. Brian, just order what you want. You don't have to torture yourself. My words were for him, but also for my former self. But my silent sacrifices had all gone unnoticed. He looked pathetic, but he still shook his head. Anna, I can do this. I've never known what you liked. Just give me this one chance. Okay, but just as he finished, his phone rang. The name Morgan on the screen was a glaring presence. He looked at me, hesitating to answer, but the struggle and plea in his eyes were obvious. I almost laughed. I felt like I was the one breaking them up. Go on, answer it. It might be something important from work. We were about to get a divorce. There was no need to make it ugly. A few words of encouragement was all it took. I was happy to give them to him. He froze, as if he had understood the meaning behind my words, and answered the phone with a heavy heart. Brian, my dog seems to have eaten something. He's been throwing up. I can't handle it on my own. Can you come and help me? Her sweet, cloying voice came through, mixed with a hint of a sob, making her sound even more pitiful. Morgan, I'm busy right now. I can't come over. You can call David for help. David was his other assistant, a very capable man. I had met him a few times, but her sobs grew louder. Brian, David doesn't like me. He's always giving me a hard time. In this company, you're the only one who's nice to me. You said I could come to you with anything. I don't care. You have to come. She was throwing a tantrum. I could hear her voice, a look of embarrassment on his face. Only as an outsider can you see how ridiculous these two are. I couldn't help but sneer, but a chili pepper went down the wrong way, and I started to cough. He was about to come over and check on me, but the crying on the phone grew louder. I waved my hand to stop him. Go on. You even walked that dog in the middle of the night. If something really happens, she won't be able to work properly. I tried to be as understanding as possible, even giving him an excuse, but he didn't seem happy. He was silent for a moment, then hung up and took my wrist. Anna, you come with me. It doesn't look good for a boss to be alone with a female subordinate. At his words, I laughed. A sad, pathetic sound. You see, Brian, you're not so blind after all. Why were you so blind before? He forced me to go with him to her apartment. As soon as the door opened, she rushed into his arms, her eyes red. I had seen this scene so many times I was immune to it. I felt nothing, but he stiffened, and, as if to avoid suspicion, he quickly pushed her away and tried to explain. Anna, I know. She's young and doesn't know any better. He froze, his brow furrowed, as if he were unhappy again, but I was just repeating his own words back to him. It was only then that she saw me. She looked away, but her expression was one of innocent confusion. Anna, you're here too. Brian and I are just used to being like this. Don't get the wrong idea. He just likes to spoil me because I'm young. If she hadn't tried to explain, it would have been fine, but her explanation just made things more suspicious. I sneered. She had been out of college for almost 2 years. At 25, she was still young. She was just playing the part of a naive fool. Her schemes were so obvious, and she thought no one could see them. But what did it have to do with me? We were getting a divorce. I was just here to watch the show. It was quite amusing. It's okay. I'm not that petty. We should check on your dog. I was thinking of getting one myself. I used to have someone who didn't like them, but now I don't care. I could use some inspiration. That was true. When he was just starting his business, He was often not home. I had suggested getting a pet to keep me company, a cat or a dog, anything. I was just lonely, but he had said he hated the house being full of animal hair. To accommodate him, I had given up the idea. Now, he was being led around by her dog. It seemed I had been too considerate. Oh, I didn't know he didn't like animals. I'm so sorry. I made you walk my dog so many times. I'll treat you to dinner to make it up to you. Her big, watery eyes were on him, a smug smile on her lips. At her words, he became a little flustered and grabbed my arm. Anna, she's all alone with such a big dog. I was afraid she. I know. You don't have to explain. Let's just check on the dog. If it dies, she'll blame me. He was cut off again. I was so tired of his voice. His face darkened. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. After all, in the face of their interactions, all his explanations were empty. She must have understood the meaning behind my words. As her smile grew even wider, thank you for your concern, Anna. The dog is fine now. Please, come in and sit down. Anna, I found him so strange lately. He would always hesitate, as if someone were choking him. I looked at him, confused, not understanding what he wanted now. What is it? Didn't she just invite you in? Let's go. Ignoring his expression, I walked into the apartment. The next moment, I was captivated by a big golden retriever wagging its tail at me. She may not be a good person, but her dog was cute. Ignoring their exchange of glances, I quickly made friends with the dog. He, on the side, was smiling. His tone was a little wistful. Anna, I never knew you liked animals so much. We should get one when we get back. I looked at him strangely, wondering what was going on in his head. It doesn't matter if you know or not. I can get one myself in the future. My meaning was clear. A divorce was inevitable. I had never been so sure. Anna, enough. Is that all he can say? Just my name. I looked at him, annoyed. I was about to say something when she stumbled between us. Anna, I made some pastries. Brian said he liked them last time. You should try some. I smiled and took a piece. The sickly sweet taste made my face contort. He had brought this home before. He didn't like sweets. I had spent a whole day making them, but he hadn't even looked at them. That day, I had been curious and had tried a piece, but he had snatched it from my hand, his face full of anger. Anna, why are you touching my things? I had been so confused and had had a fight with him. Looking back now, I was a joke. Anna, you don't like it. He said he liked it, so I make it for him often. He always smiles when he sees it. I never thought you wouldn't like it. Anna, don't eat it. He went to France on a business trip last time and brought me back a lot of coffee. I've been saving it. You have to try some. This was utterly pointless. Last time he went to France, I had asked him to bring me back a bottle of perfume, and he had said it was too much trouble, but he had gone out of his way to bring her coffee. How many more surprises did I not know about? I suddenly looked up at him. He had clearly remembered these things too, and his expression was even more unnatural. Anna, you're not angry with me, are you? There's nothing between us. I like him, but he has always treated me like a sister. You shouldn't. Enough. You don't have to say any more. This time, I was just a spectator, listening to her recount all their sweet moments, but he couldn't take it anymore. He cut her off sharply. She was startled by his sudden outburst and her eyes immediately reddened. She looked at him with a pitiful expression. I also watched him with amusement, waiting to see what he would do. Morgan, go to the company and see David. He'll settle your salary and help you find another job. You don't have to come back. Brian, she was frantic. She had never thought he would fire her. If there's nothing else, I'm taking my wife and leaving. I hope you will see David as soon as possible. With that, he grabbed my arm and pulled me out. No matter how pitifully she cried, he never looked back. Back in the car, we were silent for a long time, thinking that my goal was clear. I broke the silence first. Let's get a divorce. I've seen what you wanted me to see. She is indeed your good junior. You're so good to her. You don't have to fire her for my sake. Don't hurt the poor girl's feelings. I thought I had been very sincere, that I had analyzed all the pros and cons, but the usually rational him was now in a state of disarray. Anna, I admit I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Anna, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into me, to have done so many wrong things. Anna, I'm begging you, don't leave me, please. He was reedied, and he pulled me into his arms, his shoulders wet with my tears. I pushed him away. I saw the gardenias in the back seat, already wilting from the heat. I remembered my birthday last year. It had been even worse then, completely withered. Brian, some mistakes can be forgiven, some cannot. While you were celebrating her birthday, laughing so happily, I was enduring the pain of losing a family member, handling my father's funeral all by myself. No one to help me, no one to lean on. You were right. When I was sick, I should have seen a doctor. You were useless, so why should I keep you around? Don't you think this is all so pointless? So, let's not torture each other anymore. Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I had been more than fair, but he was still unmoved, so I got up, pulled him out of the driver's seat, stuffed him in the back, and drove to the nearest Civil Affairs Bureau. He was dragged along by me. I had already prepared all the necessary documents, all in my bag. When the stamp came down, confirming the end of our marriage, I felt a great sense of relief. As we walked out, he clutched my sleeve, his eyes red. Anna, please don't leave me, please. I looked at him, then at the Civil Affairs Bureau behind him. I remembered the first time we had come here. He had also cried with such emotion. We had met in high school. I had loved to watch him play basketball, and he would always smile at me after he scored. The innocent love of a young boy and girl had led us to the same university. The day he had confessed his love for me, we had been the happiest couple in the world. Later, we got married. He had taken me from my father's hand, as happy as a child, his eyes always shining. I had been with him through the difficult early days of his business, and I had been with him when he became successful, but I don't know when. We had grown so far apart. I shook my head, my gaze firm. Brian, it's impossible. There was no point in saying more. In his gaze, I walked away with a light heart. Behind me, he seemed to have suddenly lost all his strength. He fell to his knees and sobbed, like a child whose candy had been stolen. But that had nothing to do with me anymore. When I got home, I quickly packed my bags and left. I found a hotel near my company and stayed there. After I had handed over all my work, I moved to another city. He was very fast. A few days later, a large sum of money was deposited into my account, perhaps out of guilt. It was much more than the market price, but I took it. I didn't want to have any more contact with him. I had blocked all his contact information. This time, I was going to disappear from his world completely. I occasionally chatted with old colleagues. I heard he had come to the company looking for me. When he found out I had even changed my job to another city, he had apparently stumbled and fallen down the stairs. I couldn't help but sigh. I never thought he could be so emotional. I just laughed it off, like a funny story I had heard. It wasn't until the following year, at the Qingming festival, that I went back. The first thing I did was visit my father's grave, but I saw him there. He was still in a suit, but he looked dazed, much thinner, and very tired. I was about to leave, but he saw me. Anna, he called my name, and for a moment, I saw the sunny figure from our college days, but the image quickly faded. He was not him. Brian, we're divorced. You don't have to be here. No, Anna, I wasn't there for you when Dad died. It's the biggest regret of my life. I just want to make it up to you. The cemetery groundskeeper had called me once, saying that a man would often come and ask if I had been back. He said he would often come to the cemetery and stay for the whole day. Brian, it's all in the past. After enduring it all alone, I've realized how strong I can be. His hands trembled. He raised them, then let them fall. Anna, I know I've done so many wrong things. Morgan has been fired from the company. I haven't seen her in a year. Everything at home is still the same. You can come home anytime. Please forgive me. I smiled at him. She was just the catalyst. Without her, there would have been another. I forgive you. His face lit up, and he was about to pull me into his arms, but I subtly took a step back. The words that followed made his smile freeze. But, Brian, I don't love you anymore. We both knew what love looked like. My eyes no longer followed him. My decision to divorce was not an impulse. I'm glad you came to see my father, but in the future, I hope you will not disturb him. I knew he understood my meaning. There was no going back for us. His hand, which had been suspended in midair, finally fell. I stood up and went to my father's grave, carefully wiping his photo, my eyes full of a boundless longing. He just stood there, watching me, not even daring to blink, because he knew that after today, we would be strangers. I would find a new life, but that life would not include him.